and 1350 AM, The Ticket. This is Bronco Focus with the voice of Boise State Athletics, Bob Beeler.
And it is Bronco Focus, and we're about a little less than 3 months away from the start of the college football season, but a lot of changes over this summer. And today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, Bronco Focus is going to take a look at what the biggest changes are in college football for 2024. Prater, today, I've kind of, as we're on the video segment right now, if you want to check that out as well, you can see Prater and I as this is the video segment. But Prater, most teams changing conferences at the power level than any other year in college football. We've got 13 that are changing conferences. The 13 are, just to refresh, Texas and Oklahoma going to the SEC, Colorado, Arizona, Arizona State, and Utah to the Big 12, USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington to the Big 10, and Cal, Stanford, SMU to the ACC. And I guess, I don't know, does Oregon State, Washington State deserve to make it 15, that they're kind of standing alone?
Yeah, let's keep it at 13.
All right. So when we look at previous realignment, the first one really happened in my books. I know Penn State moved to the Big 10 as an independent, and Florida State did, but this round of realignment really, to me, took place in 92 when Arkansas and South Carolina joined the SEC, giving them 12 teams, which allowed them to split into two divisions and thus have the first conference playoff for the extra round. And that's what the SEC did. It seems to me, Prater, that more teams, when they move up, do worse in the league than they did when they were in their previous league. I think you can make a good case that Arkansas in 92, going from the Southwest Conference, which no longer exists, to the SEC, has not had the same amount of success. Miami in 04, going from the Big East to the ACC, has not done nearly as well in the ACC as they did in the Big East. And Nebraska going from the Big 12 to the Big 10 in 2011, certainly they were contenders every year in the Big 12, but have really not sniffed anything in the Big 10. Prater, I'm going to give your Utah Utes in this era of college football realignment as the team that gets the gold star for improving on what they did before. Not only were they better, I think, in the Pac-12, they did it at a higher level than in the Mountain West, and they joined in 2011. I mean, they went to the Rose Bowl twice.
Yeah, no, I think that they had a nice job. I mean, they jumped in and immediately had instant success in those first couple of years. Then it got a little bit of a dry spell as some of those recruiting lumps started happening, and then they kind of figured it out. Coaching stability, I think, is going to be the biggest factor in the theory and some of the exercises you're about to give us, and certainly Utah got lucky there.
And the only other school that I think really has excelled a lot better than they did before, I think Baylor going to the Big 12, and maybe some of the things was just fundraising and facilities, but I think Baylor going to the Big 12 in 96 was better than they were when they were in the Southwest Conference. I don't think they were a regular contender in that league. All right, so the two that I'm going to start with, Texas and Oklahoma. 28 years in the Big 12 for Texas. They won 4 titles. Oklahoma, when it went from the Big 8 to the Big 12, the same 28 years, they won 14 titles. So they had a lot more success than Texas did. If you look at the previous 28, just so we keep the same number, those teams played in the Big 8 and the Southwest Conference. Texas won 12 in the previous 28, and Oklahoma won 15 in the Big 8. These teams are used to winning. I look at Texas A&M from Texas A&M from 85 to 93. They were in the Southwest Conference. In that 9-year span, they won 6 out of 9 championships. They've come into the SEC and really haven't sniffed the level of success that they've had before. Prater, I can't see Oklahoma and Texas. I know everybody's saying Texas is going to fight for a national title, but I think over, say, a 10-year period, I don't think either of these teams are going to have the success they've had before.
Yeah, nor do I see it happening instantaneously over these next couple of years. It's going to be a tough one to crack. And you know, I would say the same for anybody. I mean, Georgia and Alabama have cycles of ups and downs. Texas and Oklahoma are not going to march into the SEC and dominate.
And then we look at some of the others. I'm looking at who might be able to be the best. And I think coming into a new league, I think it's going to be somebody in the Big 12. Because Oklahoma and Texas, 2 of the better programs in the Big 12, are gone. I think your Utes, again, might be poised to, again, be one of the top teams in the conference.
You know, that's what they're saying. And I'm a skeptical guy, so I'll believe it when I see it. But I think opportunity is there. I mean, the Big 12 is certainly not anything like it used to be. Utah's got it rolling. They got a quarterback. They got the same coach. They got it going on. Again, coaching stability, roster retention. We know what that's like here in Boise, Idaho.
You talk about coaching stability. I think Washington's going to have trouble in the Big Ten. I don't know that they're going to have a winning season this year with their new coaching staff. They lost a whole bunch of talent that went out the door on a team that went to the national championship. I think Oregon is probably the best poised right now, and I think UCLA is not going to do anything in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I'm not sure if you're going to get to the ACC threesome, but I probably tend to agree with all three ACC newcomers. Not relevant, not impact, not difference makers.
I think more of the teams changing conferences are going to be worse off on the field. I'm not saying in the bank account, but on the field than they were. And then each of these categories that we bring up, we're going to take a look at how it affects Boise State. I don't think it affects Boise State too much moving forward as far as how these teams do or don't do on the field. But the biggest thing, and when I was looking, 16 years ago to take this job, the one thing that really, many things impressed me about the Boise State program, but one of the things that impressed me most was Boise State has been good at every league they've been in. They have been an upper echelon team, maybe not quite having the entire success in the Mountain West than they had in the WAC. I mean, the WAC, they ran roughshod over at one. What did they win, like 8 years in a row or something like that? So I don't know that the success or failure of some of these other teams will have much effect on the Broncos.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. Certainly, Leon Rice lives to tell the story about how he made the transition from the WAC to the Mountain West. He thought it was absolutely brutal. Football's been a little bit better. I have a feeling some of these football teams you just talked about are going to be suffering from a little Leon Rice growth.
The Dollar Loan Center has presented our video segment today, funding loans for 25 years at don'tbebroke.com. We're quick, inexpensive, safe, regulated, and are thrilled to be opening 16 locations soon in Idaho. Apply online for up to $5,000 at don'tbebroke.com. For a limited time, your first loan is even free. We'll get into the NBA championship coming up with the voice of the Dallas Mavericks, Chuck Cooperstein. He's next on Sports Radio The Ticket.